So I saw that movie Red Pill last night. Hide it from YouTube. Um, Really worth the money that I spent on it. I I uh, I wish I'd actually bought it. I think I need to watch it again. So this is not going to be so much a review than it is going to be a reflection of what I Oh, hey, babe. Babe, did you want something? Oh, I'll say yeah. Um, so yeah, it's going to be a reflection more than it's going to be a review. Although I'll do a quick review. I think for the aim of the flick, actually, big props to Cassie J. She's a her attitude is one that's right up my alley. When I'm curious about something, and I gotta study things. It's not enough for me just to read books and watch YouTube videos and do all that kind of stuff. I need a face. I need to sit in front of somebody, or I need to absorb it inside a group in order to understand where this is coming from. That's just the type of person I am. I'm more likely to, for those of you who know me, when people say things about someone or whatnot, often my question is, have you asked that person? Have you spent time with them to work it out? Is that really what's on their mind, or have you just made that assumption? And I find that when I make those assumptions, I'm not comfortable with myself. I don't feel like I've given an honest you know, interrogation, or just an honest investigation. Like just making sure that my integrity is intact. That like you've given it some good thought. And what Cassie J does, the maker of the film, is she is a feminist. Well, she was a feminist, and so she wanted to find out about how did it start. Oh, she wanted to study about rape culture, and so when she was Googling the word rape culture to find out more about it, she came across this guy whose name was apparently controversial. Never heard of him before. His name is Paul Elam from the men's rights activist group. In fact, I never even heard of men's rights activists, but I'll get to that. And he made some controversial blogs or whatever, and that's what got this movie banned from Australian cinemas when the people that put the petitions together to ask Gendy and Palace Cinemas, I think, to stop these movies from being shown. Their petition was in regard to mainly that person, and the other one was I can't remember his name, but I'm keen on buying his book. It's called The Myth of Male Power, something or rather. Anyway, so that's how she came. And as she was googling this stuff, his name popped up, and then she saw MRA, men's rights activists. Then she started reading those kind of things, and then she was like, "Yo, what's this all about?" So she started, just like something I'll do, like I'm like, "Whoa, this is getting really into it." And then you can only read so much before you need to call somebody or find out more, and need to sit with someone and actually bounce some ideas off them, and then find out what exactly this is all about. So she does just that, follows a white rabbit, and next minute, her worldview's challenged. All her ideals and all that kind of stuff. And so as I'm journeying with her, as I'm following and tracking with her through her journey, and she shares some of her thoughts on the diary, I realize, I start reflecting to myself how I've been quite naive to this whole thing. The last couple of years, I've been part of this Facebook group called Kiwi Daddies. I'm actually wearing this T-shirt. Big ups to, if you see it, proud KD brother. It's a T-shirt I got from Levy, and this group is nearly 70,000 strong, and basically it's exclusively for men, daddies, soon to be daddies, and usually they're Kiwis or Kiwis living in Australia, and so I'm one of them, one of the Kiwi Australian daddies. And I found on this Facebook page that there were some guys that would post things, and these are common posts that come up where men are going through depression, often called the black dog, and it's often, maybe always, if not, related to family issues, custody over their children, their missus just treating them like crap, and even some of them that there was a couple of threads I read about guys that are going through homosexuality and things like that, and they just find it hard as men to be able to express themselves without being called a wuss or people looking down on them and saying, yeah, like, just get over it, you're a man. And to be honest, I sit in that boat. I'm one of those guys that I feel like when men talk to me about the stuff, or boys, because of my upbringing, because of my background, I'll get to that real quick. I've been part of that culture of where I've had men coaches or whatnot, teachers, that basically just say, yeah, hey, grow up here and move on. And that's the talk I need now. That's how I like to be spoken to. When I'm down in the dumps, soccer knows I need my boys around to say, hey, smarten the hell up and get on with it. And that's how I roll. And it works for me. My brother does it to me all the time. Like, that's something that works for me. So I don't sympathize with that. But what I saw in the movie last night, and even doing a couple of units here at Avondale College, done emotional processes and another counselling subject where it was talking about depression being a real thing. Like, as much as my consciousness seems to deny it, I don't know why, but it's happening. It's a reality that is in society. So it's like, I better shape up and change my views in order to be able to communicate and minister to these people, because otherwise I'm just going to get left out in the lurch. So, any of my counselor friends, make sure to stay in contact after college, because I'm going to need you. But the point is, I was brought up by a dad that even 2 years when he was unemployed, when I was 11 and 12, he didn't stop working. He'll mow the neighbors' lawns and just do these odd jobs just to show my brother and me that when the chips are down, it doesn't mean you go down. You gotta punch through it. I went to a boys' school. All boys, strong camaraderie. Even to this day, we're like brothers. We're like a brotherhood, and we talk openly. We have a strength that I don't know. It's quite odd, actually. Now that I've been around different places and met different people and spent some time in conversation with other guys, I realize this background's quite unique. The school, the spirit that we have is very unique, and in a way, it's sheltered me from what a lot of guys do go through that have broken marriages, lose custody of their children. And this movie basically revealed to me that men have to work all that much harder. When families break down, they have to work all that much harder just to get time with their children, and that the women are basically in control of the future as far as when children get involved. So let me digress real quick here. One of the big things I was emphasized is something that I've preached on. So for some of you young fellas, you've heard me say this, and I want to say it again. Be really, really careful of who you choose your life partner to be. I know the culture now. When I talk about the culture, I talk about the Western popular culture. I remember being in high school, and one of the big words was player, to be a player. And a player was someone that could have multiple girlfriends at the same time and kept a black book, and just went from one girl to the other. Don't know if much has changed now. I don't know. I'm out of the loop now, 37 and too old to be connected with those things. But the point is, if that's still going on, if being with heaps of girls is still the big thing, then I gotta tell you, man, just be real cautious. In fact, don't take your dipstick and just dip it in any oil canister or anything that you can. And I might use crass language, but the way we treat sex now is quite crass. I mean, here's another thing. I don't think I picked up from the movie. One of the big things us as men and as boys need to be really disciplined about is how we make those decisions. A lot of our decisions, because we're men that are so obsessed with aesthetics, we get so worked up with visual things, like anyone that works in the trades or mechanics in the workshops, that even in the cubicles, even in the office, they'll have a poster of naked women, and for some reason, us guys, we get really excited over two circles and an upside down triangle. It gets us, I don't know, it gets us really wound up, and with pornography all over the internet, it really creates, fosters an idea of what a woman is like. And so when those two circles and triangles become, when it manifests itself into our lives, we're probably quick to get into that kind of stuff, because we're quick to respond, to fulfill sexual desires based on this fostered idea of what sexual pleasure is like, and not knowing that the future is going to look dismal after this. That woman, once you impregnate this woman or whatever, your life is on a whole different trajectory. And looking at the movie last night, some guys, this one case, I don't even know how many times this happened. This one case, this woman was needed to get like social welfare benefits in America, and in order to receive them, she had to name the father, and she didn't know who the father was, so she just named this random dude. And at the time of the filming, I think he owed up to $30,000, even though he wasn't the dad. What crazy stuff is that? So what was my reflection? My reflection is this. I had no idea there was a men's right activist group because of my sheltered upbringing, I suppose. There's this group called Men Going Their Own Way, MGTOW. They've basically said, hey, own your own destiny. Don't worry about getting married. Don't worry about women. Women have already communicated that they don't need men. So, hey, if they don't need us, let's just gap it. Let's get out of the equation. So this movement, Men Going Their Own Way, is actually a real thing. It had me up last night. After the movie, I was Googling Men Going Their Own Way, the red pill movement. These guys have said, hey, this is the system. Let's just take advantage of it. Let's just use it to our advantage. And then you've got, men with voices, and they're trying to speak up for the men that want custody with their kids, and the court systems, they're against them. In America, it's not working for them, And in Australia and New Zealand, from what I've read on Kiwi Daddies, it's the same. The court system seems to favor the woman, and the woman get to manipulate and get to play that game if they wish. If they want to do that to the men, they can. They have the power of the system behind them. So this feminist movement has worked in their favor. Good for them. They got the vote, they got the court system, all that kind of stuff. But now that it's in their hands, just like with anything with power, when it gets put in your hand, how do you use it? We use it for the good, or we use it for the bad. And unfortunately, women are human too. And I suppose when you've got that power behind you, and if you want to be evil, if you want to be malevolent and use that power to your advantage, man, well, you can see the evidence for yourself. You probably know people that are going through this at the moment. Men that have lost their women, their children, and they're just going through hell or chaos at the moment. But it's opened my eyes. I realize now I need to be more sympathetic towards brothers, towards men, single mothers that could possibly be categorized as manipulative, with this type of view. Man, it's messy. You know what else? And I don't say this lightly. I don't say this as a biased dude that's going to become a pastor one day, and the fact that I do love Jesus and I'm a Christian. I think one of the best places for anybody right now to get some sense of reality, just to get a balance on, uh, how ridiculous society is getting. This, how everything is relative, and there is no, there is nothing that is concrete. I really encourage you, man. You really need to get together with some Christian men. Read the Bible. And there's some solid stuff there. Like MGTOW, men going their own way. It's sad that they've gone that way. Understandable, understandable, but it's sad that it's gone that way. But I encourage anyone to watch the movie. Uh, I really do believe not just feminism. I really do believe that. I read a article a few weeks ago. I've shown it to a couple of my friends from this. Because I work in the library, I was processing journals, and I came across this one journal called Quadrant. I dare say it's a conservative journal, but it talked about how since the late 70s, how the departments of the human and arts and universities have been taken to task. That's a whole different topic. But anyway, back to feminism. It's sad that it's come to this, but you know that question that Cain asked God when God said, "Hey, where's Abel?" and Cain said, "Am I my brother's keeper?" I think for the men, that's a question you're gonna have to really answer. You're really gonna have to answer that. I think when you see that some of our brothers are going through some hell, man, will you be your brother's keeper? I think that's what it comes down to. Okay, so